Okay. Alright, so appreciate you guys joining me. This is a PowerPoint free zone. I just was at an Autodesk event last week, all week, and that's pretty much all I seen was PowerPoint. So I am not going to bore you with PowerPoint. We'll jump right in. So you can see here my civil site. Basically have a proposed road. I have a proposed site here, a detention pond over here. This actually is a Revit model. Okay, don't freeze up on me. I should have used 2017, right? So I'm sure they haven't worked out all the bugs in 2018. Okay, what the heck is it doing? Oh boy. Let's go ahead and fatal error on me. What the heck? Okay, there we go. I'm not sure why it's acting like this. Alright, let me kill it. Alright, there we go. Huh. That's first. Try this again. Good way to start off a webinar, huh? Alright, so you can ask some questions at the end of this. Just put them in that box there, and I'll answer them to the best of my ability. Okay, so just to show you this Revit model here. And that's probably what's eating my lunch is this Revit model, so it's pretty extensive. But you can see it's an actual Revit model I've brought in here through a building site. So basically you'd import a building site. From Revit, it is a ADSK file type. So you can see that the package file for that is ADSK. Alright. So what we're going to do, so the workflow can go either way. Some people are preferring to start in InfraWorks now and bring it into Civil 3D and do some tweaking, or starting in Civil 3D and going to InfraWorks. I'm finding that starting in InfraWorks and going to Civil 3D and then building from there is actually a quicker workflow. And I'm sure that that's where Autodesk is taking us these days. So with our design, I basically have a corridor design here. I laid out my parking lot with vehicle tracking. I exported the vehicle tracking line workout as a shapefile to bring into InfraWorks. Okay, I've got my proposed design here. So we'll go take a look at this in InfraWorks. Alright. By the way, Civil 3D 2018 is out. InfraWorks 2018 is out. Lots of new features. Okay, so you can see my site is here. So you'll see there's my Revit building. Here's my proposed road. So you can even see the grading that was done. So that was my corridor that came over from Civil 3D. Alright, just to show you that. There's my detention pond over here. Alright, so once you have your model in InfraWorks, then you export the model out as an FBX. So you would export the 3D model. Now I've got all this stuff set up already because of time. I've found that sometimes bringing it into Stingray, it does take a little while. My site is rather small. That's why I did a small one, so it wouldn't take so long. But I want you to also know that it will tax your computer in Stingray. It is recommended a minimum NVIDIA GTX 980 video card. That's the minimum. Now, I found one on eBay for my son, and it was around $200, which is a steal. The newest one out is the 1080, GTX 1080, and it's about $800. So keep that in mind. This laptop will run it, but it is a bit choppy, okay? You'll see what I'm talking about. It'll tax the crap out of it. So basically what I do is I would select my area. So let me get a top view here. All right. So export 3D model, and we'll do a box. So you pick your bounding box like so, and that's a little bit off. Let me fix my north. Oh, come on. I hate that this one doesn't have the two arrows like Civil 3D does. There we go. I'm using a big screen in my office right now, and it's a little hard to use because I'm looking up and it's hurting my neck. All right, here we go. So we draw the bounding box like so. Double click to accept. You want to set a target coordinate system, preferably state plane coordinates. You can see here this is NAD 83 state plane, Tennessee, and that's in feet. And here's your file. So you would select a destination for it, export it out. Make sure you export the materials and textures. And you can also merge objects with the same texture. That's the only thing you need to make sure. And by default, those are checked. Okay, so I've already got this exported out. So once it's exported out, you're going to open up Max, 3ds Max. From Max, you'll go to Import. So we'll go grab that. That is this one. Okay, I got another dialog on the other screen here. Okay, so here basically all you want it to do is accept the defaults, and it'll apply that scale factor. It should be set to automatic by default, so basically you just click OK. Doesn't take long, and there you have it. Now the only time consuming thing is assigning the materials, so whenever you bring it into Stingray, it looks, or excuse me, it won't look, but what you can do is you can assign materials to those things once you're in Stingray to give it a more realistic effect. There is a new tool. I can't remember exactly which website it's on. Script box or something of that nature. I can find out for you if you email me or call me, then I can tell you what website that is. I got it written down over there. But there's a script that runs inside of Max that will actually automatically assign all that, so you won't have to do what I'm about to show you. Okay? So basically what you got to do is you got to open up your material editor. You can do that by hitting the M key on your keyboard. And where is it? Okay. Just love when stuff don't work. Okay. So let's try that again. M. It's opening it. Oh, golly. That's what happens when you switch screens. Okay. So you'll notice certain parts of this highlight, as you can see. So what you would do is you would take this little dropper looking thingy-majig and you would pick an area. There you can see it's just called material. So the problem with this, when it comes into Stingray and all of this stuff is called material, then it's all the same material. You don't get to work with it as separate entities. So what you would do is give things names, like this would be grass. Okay, I'd pick another one, that would be grass. And pick another one here, that would be grass. So things that are the same, you want to name the same, that way it groups it the same. Here, we'll pick that one, be grass. Here we could pick this, assign that asphalt. And pick this one and come on. Like so, that would be concrete. Alright, then we'll pick this one, which will be our water material. That'll work. Get rid of material. Let's call it water. And we'll assign this one, which will be asphalt. And here would be trees. Okay, and then you could get real picky with this. For example, if you come in here and you click that, you could assign that material as glass, and you could just go around this thing all day long. But like I said, there's a script out there that makes this so much easier. Okay. Alright, so once you've assigned all that stuff in Max, the next part is to come over here and let's get a top view. And you're going to want to select the whole thing and Unlink Selection. Okay? I always hit it twice just to make myself feel better. So once it's unlinked, you're going to right click on the move button. Okay? And preferably you want this gizmo to be right in the middle of your, yep, that's good. So if you need to move that gizmo ever, you can come over here and do Effect Pivot Only. And that way you can move that gizmo to make sure that it's right in the middle, which I'm not seeing. So that's a good thing. So we need to move this sucker over here, like so. And just somewhere, let's put it here on our site. Like that, okay. So now if you right click on the move button, it opens up a small dialog box. Alright, so first we need to take and select everything. Alright, right click on the move button. And this is going to be 0 and 0 and 0. Not sure why my text is not showing up there, but you should have gotten some coordinates displayed, but you can see my model moved when I put the zeros in there. That's the most important thing. We want to make sure everything is at 0, 0, 0. And it should have showed up here too. Not sure what's going on, but anyway, it's working. Alright, so once you've moved everything and you got it, oh boy. Dun, 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 dun. There we go. Once you've done that, with everything selected, you want to go up to, let me change my, where is it? No, I shouldn't have changed my, let's do this, design. Okay. And basically what we want to do is we want to group these. Change that back to default. There we go. So you go to group, and call it something like site. And click OK. Basically that's it. That's all you have to do in Max. You don't even have to know Max. You just assign materials, move it to 0, 0, 0, group it as an object, and then export it out. So you would come up here, export, make sure that is an FBX file, and of course you don't want to overwrite your file, so you can see here that I've already got one exported, and I just called it site_Stingray, so I know that it's the one I need to bring into Stingray. So from there we go into Stingray. Okay, take a second to open up here. It is on my other screen, so as soon as it gets up, I'll drag it over. Keep in mind as well, once this opens, there are a variety of templates that you can use. One being a shooter, so you can play first person around your civil site. There's also a car where you can drive around your civil site. And there is VR for virtual reality. Okay, so if you look up here at your templates, here you can see you got a basic, you got the character, which is your first person shooter, you got a completely empty one, you got a vehicle which you can drive around on your site. Here's your VR gear, your VR Google, your VR HT Vive, and your Oculus Rift. Okay, this one is Samsung. This one is the Google Daydream. These two are the recommended ones. They tend to work a little better with your virtual reality. From what I learned last week, the HTC Vive is better than the Oculus because it has some more functionality. So what we're going to do is we're going to use character mode. I could go ahead and show you this workflow, so we'll go ahead and create. And of course you give it a name. We'll call it webinar and create. So take just a second. So what it'll do is it'll give you a whole scene, which we don't want to work with because we want our own scene. But it helps with the character setup and all that, especially if you're wanting to use the vehicle. You know, it's kind of crazy. It's actually easier to use from like a desktop type of PC. Reason being is you can use a joystick or a gamepad, which is a gazillion times easier to navigate in Stingray than it is the keyboard. And you'll see my struggles navigating with the keyboard once I get inside the program here. So it's loading up the template. It's on my other screen, by the way, so once it finishes loading, I'll drag it over. It also already has the sound inside of it. So that's another good reason for using the template. For you that do not know, Stingray is a gaming engine. I was thinking about doing a webinar here coming up with a workflow into Navisworks to look at your civil project in virtual reality. That type of workflow, you can use any type of AR, VR headsets. Even the paper one that you get from Autodesk works just fine. You'll see if I had a little more beefy machine, this would load much faster. And you'll also see once we start getting into this, it's going to tax this laptop quite a bit. Okay, so it's loaded up. You can see this is my scene. We don't need any of this. So what we can do is we can come, we'll keep the basic floor for now. And we'll come down here. And we're going to keep player start 3. So I'm going to shift pick. And I'm just going to right click and delete those. I'll delete those targets out of here. That's your targets right there. They're just set up to shoot at. That's all that is. Delete my wall. Delete. We'll keep the shading and the light source. What I saw last week on this was very impressive because I wasn't aware of how you can actually assign different materials and shininess and reflections and light sources inside of this program. But man, you can make your stuff look so realistic. It's unbelievable. So the first thing that we want to do is bring in our Civil 3D project. So under the content, you can see we got materials and models and such and so forth. So I'm going to right click on models. Is it models or materials I want? Yeah, it's models. So I'm going to go into models and I'm going to right click and I want to create a directory. Create directory, and I'll call this site because this is going to be my site. I'll right click on it, or excuse me, double click on it. And now what I want to do is I want to open up Windows Explorer. And I'm going to navigate to that FBX file. So here, and it will be the stingray.fbx, and you just basically drag and drop it in there. Alright, so the important things here is you want to update the materials, you want to create a materials folder, you want to update textures, and you want to create a textures folder. This other stuff does not matter under here. Actually, Jose from Autodesk told me that those last 3 right there are critical if you're wanting to make a more realistic scene. So we'll go ahead and keep them checked just in case, and we will import. This will take a second, so bear with me. Any questions while we're waiting on this? You can go ahead and type them in there and I'll answer them the best I can. Okay. So my first go at this, I have a video on YouTube doing this process. And my first go at this, you can see in the video that it's called Civil 3D to Stingray if you ever want to look it up on YouTube. But my first go at this, I was unaware of what creating a new level does. So I have this, if you can see this grid up here, right? So this grid up here would protrude out of my terrain when I brought my Civil 3D project in here, and I couldn't figure out how to get rid of it. Well, I'm assuming it's this basic floor over here, which that's what it looks like, but you can also create a new level. So once you create a new level, which is create, okay, it was a little different. Oh, there we go, new level. So once you go new level, basically we'll recreate everything for you with nothing in it. Okay, so Crystal asks, what processor and how much memory am I running on my computer? I have 16 gig. The processor is an i7. I think it's 2.7 gigahertz. But the problem is I have an NVIDIA Quadro, which is geared more toward AutoCAD and its verticals. It is imperative, if you're going to use this type of software, to use something like a NVIDIA GTX. Now you could either get it doesn't have to be NVIDIA, it's just got to be a GTX. So you can get an MSI GTX, NVIDIA GTX, there's a couple of other ones out there that are a little more on the lower end. So I would recommend either MSI or NVIDIA. And again, the minimum one will be the GTX 980. That's the minimum. Yeah, so you can see here how it's still taxing itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reopen it. And I'm going to open up the one I already have. That way we can skip that import process. Okay, so here you can see I've got my site in here already. I'll go ahead and open it. And I was talking with Jose at Autodesk last week, and he actually has a laptop with the GTX in it that he's running. He also just bought a, man, I can't remember what it is, but it is an extremely powerful machine, and he only paid like $2,000 for it, which is a really good deal. Okay, so you can see here, once your civil project is brought in here, what it'll do is it'll load a thumbnail down here. So let's see here, if we go to models, you'll see there's my site that I created. And what I would do is I would right click on that and open it. Oops, excuse me. This is the one. So you can right click on it. It's your unit that Stingray creates once it's imported. So if you double click on it, it'll open up the unit editor, which is opening on my other screen. Bear with me. So once your unit editor's open, it shows all the mesh that resides inside your model. Okay, it's still loading here. So what you would want to do once it's in this unit editor, you're going to want to Control A to select everything, right? Once you select everything, it's still loading here. Give it a second. There we go. So what you're wanting to do is you got to assign a actor to it, a gravity actor. So once your player is running across your scene, he's not falling infinitely into space, okay? So in my scene here, if I do a Control A, I want to make sure that it's visible to cast shadows, culling, mesh bounds. Now this has changed a little bit because there is an option in here for your mesh. Oh, maybe it's materials. No. There's an option for your... So basically what you would do is you'd set it to mesh only, okay? And you would create a physics actor. Okay, the physics actor is what gives the object to where whenever it hits your mesh, it stops. Okay, so you can see I already got the actors in here. So it goes across all your mesh and it puts that physics reactor on there, so the character or car or whatever you're using knows that it stops there. Okay, wondering if I can open this up here. It's kind of thinking. Come on. So like I was telling you, it does tax your machine pretty good. There we go. Properties. There we go. So the actor template, you want it to be set as static. So whenever you create this site and you do a Control A, it pops up over here. This stuff's not here yet because you'll assign that physics actor. Once you assign the physics actor, this pops up for all these, and your actor template will be static, okay? And your mesh, your type will be mesh. So once you do that, you go up here to File, save it, and you can close out your unit editor. Okay, once you close out your unit editor, come on. So I don't want to save because it'll start redoing a whole bunch of stuff. So, and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, don't save. There we go. So what it would do is it'd start compiling that again. All right. So once that's been done, you just basically take your unit here and drag and drop it into the areas. You can see there how it's drag and dropping it in. Well, I've already got it in up there. All right. So let's take a look at this thing. Whoa. All So here's my site, and there's my, I guess that's my floor. So no, that's my site, Stingray. Did I delete the floor already? I guess I did. Yeah, that's good. All right, perfect. So once all is said and done, you hit the play button up here. So here's where you configure your controller. I don't have one, so I'm just going to hit this play button here. And it says launching the test level. And that is on my other screen, doggone it. So let me do this because you can't navigate with anything. I want to switch my screen up here, so bear with me, guys. Alright, so here's my other screen. I'm going to go hit play on the other one. And we'll go ahead and close these. There we go. See there how it takes precedence? I can't pick anything else. Alright, one more time. Wait, before I do that, let's close this like so. Wait, we can have some more screen. Play. Launching test level. Alright, so here's my guy. You can see, you can look around, and he is on my site. I can run. I can do this and fire. So I can shoot a bunch of tennis balls at my building. So we can go look at my site. Again, if we were to have the car, which I show in the YouTube videos, the car, if we were to have that, then we could drive around our site or drive on our street. But you can see this has got all kinds of, it'll ricochet. It's tennis balls, but it's cool. So let's go look at our site here. Now, if you'll remember, one other cool thing you can do with this is in Max you can create a door opening, and once you bring it into Stingray, you can set zones that if you were to enter this zone, yes, I want the door to open this way, and once I leave that zone, I want the door to close. So basically you could have like a gate or something. When you drive up to it, the gate will open. When you drive past it, it'll close. But you'll see I can run up on this curb. See that? See him jump up on the curb? So he's not actually going through the curb. He's actually jumping up on the curb. See there? So if we go back over to my pond, now remember I did a Control A and selected everything and gave it that physics reactor. If I was to deselect my pond, then I could actually fall in the water. But as it is now, you know, I did my building that way too, so I can't just run through my building. So if I run up on this building here, I'll run into it. See there? So you could not give it a physics actor, and you could run around inside your building. And we'll take a look at the water here. But you can see all my striping for the parking lot came in and everything. I don't know if y'all can hear these footsteps and all that, but see, now I'm a little bit screwed because I don't think I can jump out of here. I think it's too high. Yeah, it's a little bit too high. So I'm stuck in the pond. All right. Enough of that, huh? So let me get back to my questions here. And let's see. All right. So questions. Any questions? We're about 15 minutes before end, which is good. I figured I'd bleed over an hour, but we kept it under an hour significantly. So if you got any questions, ask on. If you don't have any questions, I am done for the day, and you are welcome to log off. Thank you for attending.